Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. I'm Harvey Freed. He's Harry Glanz.
Good morning. Good morning, Harvey. Morning, everybody. February 8th. Here we go. Starting our second week of February of 2025. Market's hot right now. It's on fire. We've got some people in here. Go ahead and do the introductions, Harv.
Yeah, first, Becky Elliott came in hot. There's
Yes.
Becky. So
Yeah.
Like a skipping stone, here I am. And happy birthday to our girl Maria, who used to work with us it's her birthday today, everyone.
All right, fair
Hi,
enough.
Maria. What's up?
Yeah.
Marty Hill, the great Marty Hill, joins us from Century 21, Curran Oberski. How you doing, Marty?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Awesome to have you here. You brought your marketing girl, Hannah's in. She's going to sit over here and take a whole bunch of pictures and video because marketing is really how we got to you.
Hannah's really the one that makes Marty look good.
Oh, okay.
I'll
You
bet
talk. Yeah.
She put together the letter. And so we're sitting in the office the other day, and I love marketing, read a lot of things, and open mail and mass mail and text and everything like that. So we get a letter in the mail from a guy by the name of Marty Hill saying, hey, listen, we can help you do this. We can help you do that. Old school marketing. All right. And Hannah's here, but she puts everything together, whether it's digital, whether, she posts the video. She's doing a lot of reels for Marty. She's making Marty look real good. But the old school piece of the mass mailing, it's like blocking and tackling. All right, you got to write your thank you notes. You got to make your calls. You got to see people in person. You've got to do everything.
By the way, it's Anna. Let me just Anna.
Is it Anna or Hannah?
Hey, Anna.
So
Anna's
Anna
over
does
doing
all
things.
this.
Wasn't
for
quite sure
Marty.
if I heard you saying Hannah or Anna.
All right, her
He
parents are
was
listening.
saying Anna,
Maybe
for
it's
sure.
my speech impediment.
Thanks, Anna.
So anyway, the letter caught our attention, and I handed it to Harvey. I said, Harvey, this guy's working. He's out there. He's working. We got to get together with him, and I want everybody to know it's the workers, it's the people that do, not the people that talk about doing things. Action speaks louder than words. You've heard that a million times since you were a kid.
100%.
Well, Marty's the guy of action. He's doing things, and he's got Anna helping him out, and you need somebody to help you out. So welcome to the show.
Thank
We're going
you.
to be talking about all things mortgage and real estate, talk about the market. Let's talk about the market, Harvey. Federal Reserve decided they're going to leave rates unchanged. There's no meeting in February, everybody. So if you're looking for a rate cut between now and next week or end of the month, not going to happen.
Nope.
So it's not going to happen. Fed meets again middle of March. So, Marty Hill, people are waiting. What are they waiting for? Why are you waiting?
I have stopped those conversations about waiting for the rates to change
Good answer.
because, like I always say, and I've heard a lot of other people say this too, you date the rate and marry the house. So the rate's going to change even after you buy your house. So if you're waiting around for the rates to change, you're going to be waiting for a long time.
Yeah.
And they're sort of boring mortgage rates. Very little change in the last couple of weeks, but it started off the year. We're right around 7%, depending on conventional mortgages, depending upon how much you're putting down, what your credit scores are. There are adjustments based on the down payment and your credit score and things of that nature. So definitely rates to us, historically speaking, Becky, they're very good still.
Yeah, I mean, the rates are strong, to be honest with you, but you answered it correctly, right? It's not about the rate. You're locking in the price point of the home because
Exactly.
we are going to be looking at least another 4 to 5% appreciation on home values. And so that same house that you didn't buy in 2022, it's now going to be up another 20% this year, in comparison if you were to lock that in. So it's all about having those conversations. Where you at, where you trying to go, and let's get you there, because my GPS isn't going to work for you, right? Everyone
Right.
is they're how we're going to get there is completely unique to each individual, but you can't get caught up in the rate because it's arbitrary, because you're locking in the price of the home, and when these rates do move, when they do happen, you're going to slide it down. I don't think we're going to really see any vast changes till maybe the last quarter of the year, in my opinion, but and you can run back the tape because we seem to be pretty accurate on our stuff. But
Yeah.
you don't have a crystal ball like we talked about, but it's not about the rate. It's about finding that home that you can afford with the right real estate agent, the right team of professionals, and starting building your own wealth within real estate.
Yeah. So there's
Affordability is the key.
Yeah, there's
Yes.
solid fundamentals, Marty. I mean, the jobs report came out. Solid jobs report. Unlikely to move interest rates. It's right here.
Right.
Everybody's watching. There it is. And there's reasons for that. The economy's still going strong. People are spending money, which means inflation is, it's calmed down, but it's the number one thing on the Federal Reserve's mind. People are spending money, paying a lot for goods and services.
Especially
and
eggs.
until that changes, right? Until that changes, why would the Fed ease the rate? So meeting comes in March, probably nothing's going to happen, but you can't wait on that. So that's really the rate talk. right now.
Marty,
it's going to be steady.
The inventory's picked up a little bit, definitely to start off 2025. It says here nationally about 11% increase. Are you seeing that here in our region?
Definitely.
Oh, that's good news.
Definitely. I have houses to actually show my buyers. And I do tell them to not worry so much about the rate, but what you can afford per month. I sit down with every single one of my buyers before we hit the ground running and have a buyer consultation. What can you afford? Can you do an appraisal guarantee if we have to go over asking? We always try to look under their budget in case they do have to go over asking price, just to keep their affordability where it needs to be.
We talked about the small window of opportunity in the wintertime, although it's a 365 state now that people are selling. We're just as busy in the spring, fall, winter. But definitely there's an opportunity there, maybe for the next 30 or 45 days where you're not going to be fighting over those better homes.
100%. And that's what I'm telling my buyers right now is it's the best time to buy of the year.
Yeah.
Because you don't have a whole lot of competition out
Yeah,
there.
there's I did some stats. There is about a 2-month supply on the market right now. And if you go year over year, I wrote it down, new listings are up about 25% from December 24 to January 25. They're up.
Oh, good.
New listings are up 25%. Homes for sale is down, but pendings are up again. So we have that inventory that we were talking about, a little bit. We're at a balanced market is 6 months, right? So what we mean by that is it's equal between buyers and sellers. So it's still technically a seller's market. So buyers, you have to be ready to start competing, and you are seeing multiple offers right now on those desirable homes in January or February. We're in February now, Jesus.
February already.
So it's interesting. January was a pretty strong month in the sales market. We had a good month. I know people around town talking to a lot of realtors, talking to our realtor partners and everything like that. A lot of activity in January, and it seemed to have come pretty early this year. And we're seeing that roll into February. Like I said, it's just the first day of the second week of February 2025. And there's a lot of action out there. There's a lot of activity, which means people are getting out earlier, even in the cold weather. And as we know, here in Michigan, if people are out in their cars, traipsing through houses, they're serious about buying.
These
Same
are not
thing with
tire
sellers,
kickers.
right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So explain that, Marty. What do you see right now, February 8th through the end of March, activity-wise? I mean, it's a 40-day window.
I'm seeing like Becky said, the pendings are up. So, and the days on market in any given market in the Metro Detroit area right now is about 30 days.
Still, it's about 30 days.
Still about 30
That's
days.
amazing.
Nationally, they said it went up to about 54 days, so we're still moving along. We're moving fast.
We're
Well,
moving
Michigan's
fast.
hot. That's what
It
people
really
like.
is.
Don't snooze on Michigan, just like people try to snooze on our Lions, whatever. They should be in the game this Sunday.
wow.
But
I'm still crying.
I know, but Michigan, that's why I got my Detroit versus everybody because they should have been in it. But whatever, we're over it. So my hurt heart talking right now about the Lions. But, in Michigan, people are, like I talk about it all the time, people are coming from the outside in because we are a national lender. You see who's coming in here and you talk about the rates. The investor coming in from the outside or even someone's coming for a primary home from like Texas or California, they don't care what the interest rate is because they know that if they're buying in their home state, they're paying quadruple what home is like an affordable home is right now. And the first time home buyer typically is about $200 to $300 now. It's not your normal 150, but the affordability is changing. We talked about that as well, but you have to really have that game plan in place when you're trying to, right now in
That's
this
the key.
market, because come March, it's going to get even more wild because you're seeing multiple offers. You're seeing, people going into these homes. These are serious buyers, but come March, everybody, it's like that seasonal thing. Just like Christmas, I'm going to wait till the new year. I'm going to wait till after the election. I'm going to wait for all these things. So now these people don't have these excuses.
I'm going to wait till the weather gets better so I can go house. Well, everybody's going to do that.
Yeah, everybody's waiting on something to get started.
And
so-
then you say your favorite line, Harry, is what are you waiting
What
for?
are you waiting for?
What are you waiting
Let's
for?
go.
One of the things, too, is the demographics. That definitely, they talked about it for the last 5 years. There's definitely a huge amount of people in that age group where they're getting married, they're coming together, or they just want to get out of the house. They've started their life. So it's the millennials, it's still Gen X, Gen Z, whatever. They're definitely out there, and there's more and more buyers out there. So we do think there's going to be a ton of competition for those better homes. Marty brought up a great rental property that you have for sale. And for a lot of families, I have been getting some calls on it. Everyone recognizes, as Becky said, that Detroit's this hot area. Metro Detroit's this great area. And it's still really affordable. And you threw that one at me this morning. You said you got a great Detroit property. It's sort of in move-in condition.
It is.
A rental property for $140,000. It's sort of unheard of in other places across the country.
It is, but it's very heard of here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is the reason it's been on the market for, well, it's been on the market for about 20 days right now, which is, we're still under the average days on market. But the home is move-in ready, and that's another thing that's not typical, because the investment properties that people are looking for are the ones that they have to flip, the ones that they have to invest some money in, and this one is not like that. You can move right in, and the problem is that there are a lot of them on the market right now. And they're all around that price point. So investors right now can pick and choose in certain areas of Detroit. Now, when the weather gets warm, because it does make a difference. We can all agree to that. It does make a difference when the weather
it's been really
changes.
cold.
But if you want to get into a rental property for investing, you might want to take a look at the property, because you'll get in for a little amount of work.
Right.
And then it just happens to be, it's the cash flow situation. How much you're going to put down, how much you're going to rent it out for.
Exactly.
What are the cost of maintenance, taxes, insurances, and all those things. So
Right.
you got to sit down and do the math.
Right.
But it might be a good entry point for somebody to get in.
Yeah.
To-
A starter
to-
home.
it
It's a
is.
great
It's
starter
a great
home.
starter home
You know,
for a
to get
first-time
into-
home buyer or
building your rental portfolio.
exactly.
Marty, tell me a little bit about that house. What do you get for 140? And again, you said it's just off of 6 Mile in the Lodge area. Just
Six
give me
in
an
the Lodge.
idea what kind of house it is.
Well, it's a bungalow,
Oh.
typical Detroit bungalow.
It's a
There are a
crate.
million of them around.
Okay.
And it's got an updated kitchen, updated bathrooms, formal dining room, about 1,300 square feet, 2 full baths, finished basement, and a 1-car garage.
That's everything everyone's looking for. Basement,
Exactly.
garage, enough bedrooms.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Unbelievable.
Wonderful.
Oh, yeah, we're already up against our first break here, so let's keep it going here. 248-539-9797. Marty Hill joins us from Century 21, Curran Oberski. We'll be back with tons of information. You want to become a homeowner? We've got some helpful tips. Keep it here. We appreciate that. All right, we're back here. Ozzy is coming back, Paul, so we catch up with you here. We know what's going on. The return of Black Sabbath here on the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. Appreciate it. If you're all just tuning in, of course, the Hardcore Mortgage Show in our 25th year. We love bringing it to you. We take your calls live, 248-539-9797. Marty Hill joins us from Century 21, all over Metro Detroit. They've got 4 offices, the Curran Oberski office, Dearborn Heights, Northville.
Curran.
Do I say
Curran.
Right? Curran. Northville and Royal Oak. So definitely Marty's can work anything, any area that you're interested in. And before we went to the break, I just brought it up. Let me do our homework too. We are brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding, powered by CMG Home Loans, NMLS 1820, Equal Housing Lenders. We get that out of the way.
Yeah, for all you lawyers out there listening to the show want to turn us in.
Yeah, exactly.
We did the compliance there. There we go.
We get that out of the way. But
don't think it doesn't happen.
People are ridiculous. You're ridiculous.
Call. Someone did do that once. So, again, first-time buyers, they seem like they're, hey, I'm thinking about buying a house. You need to really get ahead of it about 6 months. I would say even a year before you're thinking about buying. So if you're engaged, if you've been living at home, you've been renting, your lease is up, and you truly want to become a homeowner here, your job's here, you're not going to be moving out of state. There's a lot of things you can do. And of course, always the number one thing is to boost your credit. And at least go to the free annual credit report.com. So again, that's annualcreditreport.com. You can get a copy of your free credit report and take a look to see what's on there. I've had some clients recently, and again, they've closed on loans and we've navigated some things, but they could have boosted their credit score up had they addressed this about 6 months earlier.
Yeah, but understand what you're seeing on that credit report, the free credit reports of the world. Those are consumer credit reports. Those are not deep dives into your credit history. So therefore, it's just a baseline. It's a nice guidepost for us to go ahead and say, hey, what do we need to get done if there are issues on there? And, Marty, it all starts there. They shouldn't be coming to you first because you want to get in your car, you want to show them property, something like that. But how are you going to go ahead and show somebody a property if you don't know what they qualify for?
I'm not.
Right. That's the answer. Right. Go ahead, Beck.
It's that simple. It's that simple.
You're not going to do it.
I am not going to get involved with into the thick of things until I know that I have a qualified buyer. And buyers don't know they're qualified until they sit down with a professional and find out what it means to be qualified to buy a home. And it's not just having a good credit score. It's having enough for a down payment. It's having enough to be able to afford your monthly payment for closing costs and the things that you're going to have to do to the house when you move in. Mm-hmm. So you've got to sit down with these first-time home buyers and really educate them. And if you're not educated going into the home buying process, you're going to flail.
Yeah, so Marty, here's what happens. Becky will get a call from her realtor partner. And this is how the call goes. Hey, Becky, did you sit down with this person? Well, no. And the realtor will say, well, so you got to check these people out for me because I can't go out, Becky, and take them out unless I know that they're approved. So Becky starts that process first. Take us through that process, Beck.
Yeah, I mean, so any consumer that's listening, there's a backwards mentality. You want to find the house first, then start the financials. And it really is backwards because most buyers come to us through real estate agents because you fall in love with these houses and then you come to us and then we have to kind of decompress and pull out all your financials and things like that. So how it's supposed to go is you have the conversation with the lender. You have to get off the fence about the credit pull. Mortgage inquiry is the least negative of impact on your credit that you could possibly imagine. What affects your credit is not making your payments, collections, those kinds of things. A mortgage inquiry is different than you going to Lowe's and Home Depot that you don't think twice about to get that 0% credit card. That has a more negative impact than a mortgage inquiry. You can also have your, 2 people, 3 people look at your, like on a mortgage company, I'm just going to say it, within 45 days, and it counts as one pull. Right. So if you are out here talking about getting a mortgage or want to throw your hat in the ring on home ownership, you have to let us look at your credit because that tells us all the things. And then from there, we work backwards. We talk about what's your goals? What price point do you want to be in? What can you afford? How much money do you have? Is there someone that could go on the loan possibly if we need that? Where's the money coming from? Do you need down payment assistance? Does down payment assistance make sense for you? Are you a first-time buyer? Are you not? And all those questions, we then reverse engineer what we're trying to do because it's very easy for me to find and identify the price point that you qualify for once we have these high-level conversations. Right. And then I'm going to kick you back over to my homie over here, and we're going to get you, and I'm going to tell him, this is what we're looking for. Go find it.
So translated.
Yes. Yes.
Translated, Becky then will send Marty and her realtor partners an actual pre-approval letter. It is not a qualification letter.
No.
It's an actual pre-approval letter. So, translated, she goes in, sends Marty Hill the letter and says, Marty Hill, John and Nancy are approved for $150,000. And it says on there, we've checked your financials, your tax returns. We've done everything there. Now, Marty, go find them a house. Period. That's how it works.
So
do
of
we need
course,
concessions? Do we not need concessions?
Right.
You know, that kind of thing. So
Right.
Can
then
we
you go to
talk
work.
about that difference between the pre-qualification letter and pre-approval letter?
Yeah,
A lot of people
listen,
don't know that difference.
we don't give out
I'm not going to be
pre-qualification.
nice about it. Becky might be a little nicer.
Please do.
A
Be honest.
pre-qualification letter isn't worth the paper it's printed on.
Exactly.
Forget about it. It means nothing. It means somebody didn't look at tax returns, financials, paycheck stubs, qualified them on their job, how long they've been on their job. That's what that means. It just means somebody made a call and they sent a letter.
Yep.
And then what happens from there, Becky, only bad things can happen from there.
Yeah, because then you're running around with a piece of paper that thinks, someone thinks it means something, and then you put in 3 months, and during that time, whatever loan officer gave you that qualification letter, they were not doing their due diligence.
No, I've gotten offers with pre-qualification
It's ridiculous
letters that
still.
I've had to send back.
So the average consumer, so what you're seeing on the top of the letter will say pre-qualification letter or pre-approval letter, right? You want something that says pre-approval letter because that means that your financials were actually reviewed. There's a reason why
That's the key.
we ask you for these things. And there's also a reason why we ask you for the bank statements to be shown in a very particular manner because there's also a lot of fraud out there. There's a lot of people trying to fake buy houses, and that's a whole nother conversation. But when it comes to the banking information, you might get frustrated, but we have to be very blocking and tackling. It's consistent. It's the same for every person. It's got to look a certain way. It's got to be a certain way, whether it's an actual bank statement or a transaction history. We're going to get all up in your business on how that looks because we got to make sure you are saying who you are who you say, and you have the things that you say
And
you
we
do.
will also call you, Marty. We will call our realtor partners on the phone and say, hey, Marty, check these people out. Now, we cannot give out any personal financial information, but the call will go like this. Hey, Marty, I checked out John and Nancy. I've got their tax returns. Everything's good. Go ahead. I'm going to send you the pre-approval letter right now.
by the way,
Okay, and
guys,
that's generally how it works.
I got a clear to close in 7 days, a real clear to close in 7 days this week because we did our homework up front. The huge piece of what we're talking about here is those funds to close. That's definitely a huge piece of the puzzle. But there are other ways. We might have to get you set up with a down payment assistance program, so we can dive into that a little bit. But also we recommend for, if you're down the road a little bit, a year or two down the road, you're getting married, and maybe setting up one of these high yield savings accounts. It's a separate account where you're not mingling the money and paying your bills out of it, where you and your partner, your spouse, can go ahead and put some money away. I like that for the future. And then typically you can get a gift, and we break all that down. These are the important things. Where's the money coming from? And sure enough, I can't believe it, in 2024 last year, we take the calls all the time.
And Harvey, how much do we charge for all these services?
It's all free, Harry.
Oh, it is all free. Oh, boy, good
It's
setup,
all
huh?
free to get set. Yeah, to get set up for success. And then also we'll set you up. A lot of times families don't really truly have a real estate agent.
If
and
somebody's
that's the key.
asking you for money up front to get a pre-approval letter or an approval letter or do any work for you, run a credit
Oh, you
report,
can play that
anything like
music,
that,
like,
run away from them. Do not give your credit card information or start writing checks to people that are trying. They're supposed to do their job, and we are a service entity, and we want to make sure that we can take care of you. Yes, it costs us money, but we don't charge you. Okay, and then people go, well, you charge us in the end. No, we don't charge you in the end. You're only going to get charged for services under normal closing costs that are performed as a part of that real estate transaction. If you're writing checks or giving credit cards up front to people, it's a bad situation. Don't do it.
All right, national average home prices from the second quarter of 2020, right before the pandemic kicked in there, were $317,000, and then last third quarter of 2024, $420,000, an increase of 25% nationally. We've seen an increase here in Southeast Michigan, maybe up towards 50%. Oh, yeah. So get off the sidelines. If this is something you want to do, definitely give us a call, Capital Mortgage Funding. We'll hook you up with Marty Hill and all the great real estate agents we're connected with. That's the key. Knowledge is power in just about anything you do. So try to get that knowledge behind you and start talking to more smart people.
Yeah, failing to prepare is preparing to fail. And that's really as simple.
John Wooden.
Yeah, it's as simple as it is. And, even if you're renting, like everything makes sense for a certain period of time, right? You don't want to be a lifetime renter though. Right. And the rental market is more competitive than the homeowner market. I'm going to be honest with you. I have some friends that are looking for rentals because that's their situation right now, but that's not the long-term goal. And they're getting hit with I think one of my friends, their rent was going to be increased by $1,000 or something like that. Wow. Because it's not regulated. If you're a landlord, you can do whatever the freak you want, especially if it's a private home, because what's happening is those taxes have been increased because that was a primary home. Now it's a rental home, right. And they're going to push that onto the people that are renting the home. So you hear about, marry the house, date the rate, the things. You want to talk about divorcing rent, right? If you're talking to a primary home, someone that's going to, own this property and live in it, it's about divorcing rent forever and putting that money in your pocket, because I talk about it often. You want to park your car in your own driveway, not somebody else's.
I like
do you want to
divorcing
pay
rent.
your landlord's mortgage, or you want to pay your own?
Yeah.
All right, and you don't need an attorney. You just need a lender and then a great real estate agent to divorce that rent. That sounds simple enough. All right, we got a lot to share with you in this hour here. Rising share of homeowners are prime candidates. 17.2% of the folks out there have an interest rate of over 6%. We'll talk about some debt consolidation and refinance opportunities. Don't let that slip by. 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show in our 25th year. We love taking your calls.
25 years.
Yeah. 539-9797. We're not taking ticket text this morning because the computer screen's not up, but that's okay. And by the way, Harry, I'm sort of really excited to hear what's going on in Metro Detroit. You know, the Lions thing is definitely, we take it on the chin with the Super Bowl tomorrow, but the Pistons last night, Harry.
Can we say that word on the air? Can
Yeah,
you say
I mean,
Super
we
Bowl?
just-
Yeah.
Or do you have to say big
We're
game?
big
Big
game
game.
tomorrow.
You can't say Super Bowl, but you can say big game,
My
right?
man Malik last night for the Detroit Pistons got
Yeah.
me fired up. I turned off the Pistons for a few years. I am the hugest Pistons fan after last night's game.
Well, right now, our sports scene here in Metropolitan Detroit is phenomenal. Don't forget that we have colleges here, too. All right, so we have, this area is really, I mean, we're a major league town. We've been a major league town forever, and the sports scene is really picking up, and we are a sports town. I know everybody wants to think, you know, that we're cultured and everything. Yeah, we have some culture. But you know, our culture here is in Metropolitan Detroit?
Sports.
That's what it is. I can't help it. It is what it is, and I didn't make this up, so there you go.
All right, we talked about the refinance and debt consolidation loans because, again, we never wanted to use your house as a piggy bank. The however is it's part of your whole financial picture. And when you've got smart people working with you, let me give you an example. You buy a house with minimal down FHA because whatever reasons you had to go FHA or even conventional 3% down. Typically here in Metro Detroit, we're looking at 7 to 10% appreciation every year. So if you bought even back in 2021, 22, there's probably a good opportunity that there's equity now and you might be able to pivot, maybe consolidate a little bit of debt, maybe just lower the interest rate, maybe remove the PMI or the MIP that's on an FHA loan. So there's a couple small things you can do, but refinancing is not out of question for
There's
families.
necessary debt, and bad debt, okay? There's no such thing as good debt. So there's necessary debt and there's bad debt. Bad debt are your credit cards. Bad debt are if you're running your credit cards up and you're on that hamster wheel and you keep running them up and running them up and running them up. And they're charging you 20 to 25%. So let's just say 22%, right in the middle. And you have a mortgage. You can go get a mortgage, take money out of your house, pay off the bad debt, don't run up your credit cards anymore, and have an interest rate in the sevens. Now, listen. What's better, a 7% rate or a 22% rate? Now, if you're going to continuously use your credit cards and use your house as a piggy bank, never a good idea. But the bottom line is you can go ahead and you could save money, Becky, Allie, on a monthly basis if you don't run up your credit cards by paying those credit cards off. Keep one around. You got to have a credit card, but pay it off after you get yourself fixed. And we do that 30 times a day, every day, 365 days a year.
So that's like the dirty behind the scenes truth that really happens, right? That the conversations that people don't talk about is, you know, when you bought the house in 2020, 21, 22, and you overbought during those times because it was a hot market, you had to be really competitive, and now these taxes are reassessed. And we talk about this often. We're going to have Christina, the tax assessor, back on here because she is aces when it comes to that conversation.
Yeah,
She's
I
really,
like
really
her.
good, right? But now you have these taxes are reassessed, and now people cannot afford the monthly payment because they were overqualified during these times. And now they are living off their credit cards. And then obviously there's inflation. The interest rates have went up. So when they were raising these interest rates, it had a direct correlation with your student loans, home equity lines of credit, and credit cards. And so now you have these payments that are just, you can't keep up with it. And people are living off of them, like what Harry's saying. And so we look at the financial picture and we now kind of decompress that and we look at it and what is it going to make sense. And so I have quite a few refinances. I mean, people were refinancing or foregoing their 3% interest rates months and years ago because we need to make sure they're setting them up for success. And when you're having a high level conversation with someone, they're understanding that I'd rather have an interest rate in the high sixes, low sevens than continue to pay 30% on my credit cards. And now you're saving $500 a month. You're not putting that $500 back into the other debts that maybe we didn't roll in, or you're putting it back on your mortgage and we're now setting you up for success in the future. So then we can roll back and maybe do one more refinance when these rates drop and really set you up for success to run down the road. And that's really what we're looking at is not at our noses, where are you going now and where are we trying to get to?
And sometimes just resetting up that new escrow account, it resets that taxes, it changes your monthly payments so you're not struggling to keep up. When you refinance, you typically skip one house payment. And a lot of times you just need that little boost to reset that escrow account and how important escrow accounts are. And
so
then
people don't understand escrow accounts. So I want you to kind of deep dive on that because that's another conversation that we have often, right, is escrow, right? Escrow is your taxes and your insurance, right? that we pre-set up in the beginning when you're buying the house. Now, my taxes, if you're buying my house, are going to be different than your taxes are going to be a year from now. But there's so many loan officers that you hear they don't have these conversations for these new homeowners.
Well, because they're setting up the tax escrow account on an artificially low basis, and when they're giving a quote out. You can't do that. And B, that if you have a tax escrow account, you understand that every time you make a mortgage payment, insurance and property taxes are included in that payment. Now, how can your mortgage payment go up? Well, if your taxes go up after a year or your insurance goes up.
Right.
But your principal and interest on a fixed rate mortgage is always going to stay the same. So therefore, when you set up your escrow account, it has to be done right the first time, right from the get.
Yeah.
So we'll help you out with that. We'll explain it. We'll give you the accurate numbers. And all we do is we go ahead to the tax rolls. We figure out what your taxes are per the bills, per the city, per the county, and take your insurance and go ahead and we'll set it up properly.
Yeah.
Now, before I write an offer on a home, I have the lender run the monthly payment to see if they can afford this home that we're about to put an offer on. How does the lender go about figuring out what the taxes are going to be?
I give it to Jeff Reese in my office.
And I give it to you guys.
So if you're going over the top with it, you take
Yeah,
the
we
new
pull the
purchase
records.
price,
Yeah.
right? You're going to divide
Shout
that
out
by
to
2,
Jeff Reese.
and then you get the mills rate, and we have our own mathematical calculation.
We calculate it.
Yes, and so it's old school math, and it is what it is. And typically, you have to kind of assume it's going to be around a 5% increase, but you have to
That's
just.
the key because
And I look at that, is it a 5% or is it more? And I'm going to always go on the higher side when I'm looking at it, because I'm going to say, okay, your payment's going to be $1,000 today, but in a year from now, you're probably looking at $1,300. Are you comfortable with that?
And Marty, that's the thing. Okay, when we go ahead and we calculate it, we're not giving you an artificially low number. So we'll give you a higher number. And then if they talk to somebody else and they get that lower number, they'll say, hey, but you gave me a higher number. Our number is accurate. Our saying in our office is if it works at the high, it works at the low. So we'll give you a more realistic, higher scenario than lowball you on what the payment's going to be. Because it is almost a certainty that if you buy a house right now for a certain price, a year from now, when the tax assessor goes out, reviews all the sales in that city, that they're going to bump up your taxes.
I get that phone call every year.
Every
I like
year
that on
you
your
get
listing in Trenton.
Well, we're in an appreciating market.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
everybody.
Right.
My taxes went up. I've been living in my house for quite some time now. My tax went up, so you can't be surprised. But that first year is very startling for that first time buyer,
Oh, yeah.
and especially if you're not preparing them right. You have to prepare them for that conversation, and we can say, okay, we can either adjust it now. We can make this payment be higher now, or you can let it adjust on your own, but we need to make sure you have those additional funds because you're going to see that payment increase and you can make those
Exactly.
adjustments.
Marty, your house in Trenton, the folks have lived there. You said they're in their late 90s. They just finally, now the children are going to sell the house. Those got low taxes. When you look
Very
at them,
low
and you're
taxes,
advertised,
yep.
that's what they are now.
Yep.
But yes, we would take those first-time home buyers or whoever is going to be purchasing the house and break it down for them to show exactly what they're going to be looking at. We don't want anyone to be surprised. Let me take the other end of that. If you're very wealthy and you don't want the hassle, you don't even want an escrow account. My cousins, I got a couple cousins that are doctors, and they don't need escrows. They like them. They like the escrow account. They don't want to have to drive to the city. They don't need the bill coming. Their homeowners is paid once a year, and your taxes are paid twice a year.
Well, there are pros and cons
Easy.
for that, right?
Yeah.
There are pros and cons. If you're very good with your money and you're disciplined and you don't mind writing 3 checks additionally a year, 2 for property taxes, city and county, and 1 for your homeowner's insurance, then by all means, don't let anybody hold your money. Go ahead and pay it on your own. However, if you are not so disciplined and you don't want to think about it and you want to make the payment all inclusive, go ahead and do it that way. You have to decide what's best for you.
I
Okay?
had some clients that elected to not have an escrow account based on their current situation at the
status.
time.
Yeah.
Well, their financial situation changed, and now they're going to be talking to their lender about
Setting
creating
one
an
up.
escrow account.
All right, I'll take their number, definitely. You got to be
Yeah.
able to budget that for yourself.
Yeah.
Escrow,
They were struggling, Harvey and Becky and Marty. They were struggling with going ahead. They thought the lower payment would solve their issues, but then all of a sudden, when those bills popped up, they couldn't make the payment.
Like clockwork, July 1st, go to your mailbox. It's like July 4th weekend, and
Or
the
don't go.
bill's
Or
sitting
don't
there.
go to your mailbox.
Same with
Or
December
just
1st.
after Christmas, they're like, "Hey, here's your winter tax, everybody."
So I'll round that out.
Surprise.
Escrow funds take the worry out of getting those bills and the sticker shock of showing up in $3,000-$4,000 bill. Okay, we offer free escrow waivers. I'm going to throw it out there. If you want to put 10% down or more, we give you a free escrow waiver. Call Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage bank here. If you don't
Did
want
he
to have
say
an escrow,
10%?
10%
Did
down
he say
or more.
10%?
10%.
That's amazing, Harvey.
10%.
Yeah, years
Typically,
ago,
it's
Harry,
20%.
that is
Typically,
amazing.
yes, Becky.
Typically, it's
20% was the typical for
Yeah.
escrow waivers. Most institutions don't.
And what do you
lend.
mean by free? What does a
What does that
normal
mean?
lender charge for an escrow waiver?
Well, typically they were 0.25% of the loan amount. So, there's some additional fees if you wanted to pay your own taxes in the past. We don't do that.
Nope.
So good opportunities. Again,
We
if you're
don't.
responsible and you've
We
got
do
that,
not.
you got a big chunk of money and you're definitely want to handle
But your
that.
credit's got to be good, too. By the
Right.
way. Your credit's got to
That
be
helps.
good. You can't have bad credit and say, well, you know what, I'm going to pay this payment on my own. No, you don't have a history of making payments on your own.
That's why we got to look at your credit. We do not judge you. We're here to help you and fix you, and we're going to get you where you're trying to be.
Alrighty. The music says we're up against a quick break. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. All your calls at 248-539-9797. All righty, welcome back to the show. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. We might get technical in this 15 minutes or so. Marty Hill joins us from Century 21. Do I say it right, Harry? Now you got me thinking, Harry.
Century 21, Curran Oberski.
Curran Oberski. I thought I said it right the first time.
Curran Oberski. I got to give a shout
And shout out to Anna.
So we got a shout out to Anna. Anna's the marketing maven guru here for Century 21, Curran Oberski. She's in charge of all 4 offices. She brings us Marty Hill. We got Marty Hill from Anna, her marketing.
I love that.
All right, I got to give a shout out to, listen, old time industry vet. I told him I was going to go ahead. He called me up there. He said, Harry, you've never used me in 30 years for my advertising.
Okay,
I said,
Who's this?
That's because I love you, Suss. Alan Sussman Advertising. How you doing, Suss? If you're listening. He said to me he's going to listen. But he called me up yelling at me yesterday.
What?
So, because I love him so much. But anyways, hey, Suss, what up?
What's he got? He's yelling about something.
Yeah, it's all good.
He
All right,
wants you to make the ink pens.
No. He wants me to write checks.
Oh, yeah.
And he knows how much I hate writing checks.
Yes.
So there you go.
All right, 846 here on 97.1 The Ticket, the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. If you want to sneak in a call, 248-539-9797. And we're always excited. A sports town, of course, with the big game tomorrow. And just always the energy here in town. And I mentioned it earlier. I became a Pistons fan again after last night's game. Red Wings are on fire. So Tigers are signing some folks, got the pitching staff coming together.
Look at your teams are your teams, whether they're good
Love
or
'em.
bad.
These are my teams.
You love them. You're on
Yes.
it. You wear it proudly. And you know what? When you go out of town and let's just say a team's not doing well, they'll go, oh, your Detroit teams are terrible. Yeah, but at least I'm a real fan. I'm not a bandwagon fan. I don't hop on. I don't hop off. I go to games when they're bad. I go to games when I root for my teams because I'm from here and I love it here and I love all our teams going forever, supporting every team.
Amen.
Like it or not. Let's go.
Love it.
Amen.
I'd say just let's go.
Yeah.
Maybe I probably know more. Well, I probably know about 2 things, maybe sports and maybe mortgages. And I guarantee you I know more about sports than mortgages. There you go.
What
That
else?
is
cannot
not
tell
my
that.
case.
There you go.
Marty, I want you to definitely tell us a little bit about your couple experiences you've had recently. Again, 2025 kicks off. January was pretty hot. Tell me about some of the things that you've run into with some buyers lately that shouldn't have gone that way, good and bad.
Well, I will tell you, this time last year, I had 1 closing under my belt, and I have 4 this year.
Okay, there's a
So
Get out there.
there's been a significant increase in activity from 24 to 25.
Yeah, we said that in the beginning.
Yeah, we felt that. We
Yeah.
felt that January
feel
was
that.
very strong. We ended up our January very strong for a January here in Michigan, rolling right into February. And I think people are feeling that. And I think that, Harvey has some stats on average sale prices in the metropolitan area that he's going to go over.
I will go back to those.
And you'll see that it's rising. And that's why we always say, what are you waiting for? They're not coming down. They're not. Harvey, go over that list because prices
Well,
are
can we-
not coming down.
Can we talk to the sellers out there for a minute?
Yeah, go ahead.
If sure, we're getting multiple offers on a lot of houses, but if it's not priced right in the first place, that's not going to be the case. So pricing your property as a seller is extremely important. That's why you need a professional to sit down and to go over things with you and to come up with that listing price that's going to find that sweet spot where you're going to create that multiple offer situation.
Yeah, that's an important way that homes have been sold recently. But the key is to really break down that market analysis, see what's
Right.
going on in the area. Yeah, years past, people would call us up and I would say, well, wait a minute, this is on a crawl space. The other homes you're looking at have basements and
Right.
garages. So there's a huge difference because those things cost money and add value to your property.
And market analysis are free. I can
Yes.
spit one out in 5 minutes.
yes.
There you
Yeah,
go.
and you like what you're saying though is like the market will tell you if
Yeah.
you're priced wrong because it's
Exactly.
going to sit a little bit longer. And I know what I know and I know what I don't know, and I know how to go to the people that know the things that I don't know, and that makes me an educated person.
Yeah,
Okay,
There you go. Well, you have to
Because-
ask for help. I mean, if you
Yes.
don't know something, don't fake it. I mean, everybody says
Yeah.
fake it till you make it. Look, I could tell.
It's not
sitting
good
in-
advice.
Yeah, I could sit in front of somebody and just in 2 questions know that they don't know what they're talking about. That's a different show.
Yeah.
That's a different show.
But if you're trying to sell the house on your own, like we're talking about, like
Right.
if you're like, oh, I don't want an agent, right? There's so many things that go on when you're listing your house between city inspections, concessions, these offers. You're not looking at the contracts properly. You have to have a professional on your
Listing
side.
a house without an agent is like going to trial without an attorney.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It can work out,
Yeah.
maybe,
Yeah.
but if you're guilty, it's not going to work out so
No.
good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Metro Detroit sales prices, go with Detroit first. These are just averages, and this one sounded a little low, 123,000 to Detroit. There's not many homes under 100,000, so I thought that average was a little bit lower in the city. And as you mentioned, a great starter home in a good area, 140,000, Marty, for a bungalow,
Right.
1,300 or more square feet,
Move-in
garage, basement.
condition.
That's
Move in.
nuts that everything's been updated. That's a killer. Like, if anyone's listening now, you know someone who's thinking about moving to the city. That alone, that's a great opportunity. Ferndale's up to 275 average. Again, we've seen Ferndale go through the roof.
Yeah.
And their property tax
Taxes are also to the roof.
Also to the roof a little bit there. Farmington Hills at 403,000. Royal Oak, Marty, you said 420. I say 416. Troy's at 526. South Lyon, I love going out that way, and more families are headed out there. A lot of new construction. Rochester's up to 708,000. Birmingham, of course, 1 million. If you want to live in Birmingham, definitely put your money together. Get a big gift from mom or dad. And then Northville's has a huge number. It said 1.7 mil.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's all on the high side.
No, that's got to be a typo.
But Bloomfield Hills here, 1.2 million. And yes, it's
that's
hard
cool.
to find property in Bloomfield Hills, and if you're stepping up for under $1 million.
Yeah, I say, with the exception of the Northville number, I say they're all very, very accurate numbers. We do our market research on that. We'll have to check that typo out. But, there's no such thing. What's a starter home now? I mean, you've got to throw that out. You've got to take a look at it, and you got to be where you want to be. Of course, school, shopping, proximity to major thoroughfares, and that's why. Ferndale, fashionable Ferndale, hot.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it's been hot for a while.
Yeah.
And same, Woodward Corridor, everybody talks about the Woodward Corridor, but you go out to Rochester, you go out, there are a lot of downtown areas that are very, very strong. And Marty, your city, they're building a downtown in Livonia. Did you see that?
I did.
They want to build a downtown center in Livonia.
I live a few blocks from where they're proposing that, and I'm all for it.
Yeah, sure. Walkability.
People love the walkability. The
Walkability.
walkable, like communities, even like downriver. Wyandotte is so cute.
Wyandotte, so awesome.
It's so cute.
That was my number one city. When I drove to Grove Zealand, had to cruise through Wyandotte.
Yeah.
I was just amazed that there's property still available because there's a lot going on.
Listen, we talk about all of them. You got Berkeley, you got Royal Oak, you got Clawson, where Anna's from. Anna, proud graduate of Clawson High School. There she is. The brains behind Marty Hill.
Yeah.
So
making us all look good in here.
You have to understand, and you have to live in that's why it's location, right?
Yep.
Yes. It is about where you want to be. And there's a lot of times where people have there's buyer's remorse right now too. So when you talk about listings, we are going to see homes hitting the market because people overbought and they bought houses because they didn't know what you're standing in line. I'm going to stand in line with you. And I don't know what I'm buying.
They bought what they could get.
Yes, because there was that scarcity mindset, and it was like, oh, we're never going to be able to get this house if we don't do it right now. And now you have to go back to work. There's certain things that have changed over the last couple of years, and people are going to start releasing these properties now that these rates have kind of settled down, or they've settled it in their minds that these rates are not going to be really moving too dramatically, and these homes don't suit them anymore. So you're going to start seeing this inventory hit the market.
Definitely Capital Mortgage Funding, along with CMG Home Loans, we are powered by, is known throughout the U.S. for really responsible lending practices. You got to have those people in your back corner. You just can't be clicking buttons on the internet. You're going to deal with complete strangers. So definitely you want to give us a call, 1-800-LOW-RATE. We're very efficient, helping customers navigate the path to home ownership. It's just not words. I mean, we're in constant communication with our clients. If you're clicking buttons, the communication's horrible. I talked to one of my clients. Like I said, I got a closing from start to finish, clear to close in 7 days. He told me that he had a nightmare story in his last house 3 or 4 years ago. He says, Harry, it's completely different. It took over 2 months, and it was just completely unorganized and bad communication. If you want to have someone, I don't call it holding your hand a little bit, just being there as a partner, Becky, and then having that confidence, I think that's truly the difference. Giving our buyers the additional confidence and then handing them over to a great agent like Marty Hill, that just sets everyone up for happiness at the closing table.
Well, what you're talking about is a conversation that we also have, too, is you have people that are buying their second homes with us. We were not their first call, but we're going to be their last. And they went through that experience, and they have no idea what the heck happened. They have no idea what they went through. All they know it was just traumatic and it was scary. But every situation's different, right? There's a lot of buyer sabotage out there. They're going to do some things after we're under contract that we're like, don't do that. And they're like, I'm like, that stove's hot, don't do that. And they're like, oh, well, I needed that furniture for the house I'm almost going to buy. So when we tell you don't do things, it's not it's not a suggestion. It is an absolute don't do these things so that way we make sure that you have a smooth ride to closing, not a bumpy one.
That's one of the first conversations I have with my buyers too is don't
do anything crazy.
Don't do anything. Wait, don't even put furniture in layaway. Don't spend anything. Buy groceries. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Don't use cash.
Yeah.
Well, the fact of the matter is we check things out, and then we go ahead and we recheck it a couple of days before closing too. Things happen. People lose their jobs. They don't tell us about it. And then we find out about it. And then Harvey comes to my office, yells at me and says, no, that didn't happen. And I say, yes, it did. And then he's got to call them back, and he finds out that it happened. And, that's real life. Sometimes life gets in the way, but try to make your transaction. A lot of it's on you. Mm-hmm. Everybody says the customer's always right. Not really. No, customer's not always right. But we'll check that. We'll help you through it. But we have to, because remember, Marty, if you're putting 10% down, that means we're the 90% partner,
right,
but you get to live in the house.
Right.
All right? So we have to do our due diligence.
Good way to look at it.
And that's it. We're the 90% partner. You're the 10% partner, but you get to live there.
There's all about communication to me. Again, I'm into the communication thing, constant communication. And I love the little videos we put out. A lot of my clients recently, they worked with us before, and now we're sending out videos along the way, hey, to show you each step of the way and remind you, look out for wire fraud. These are things that we want to bring up always. Be careful. Anything to do with your funds or strangers calling you, you definitely want to take a look at it. Becky, already?
I know. I mean, it goes by so fast.
We're not leaving,
so
Paul.
Fast.
Yeah,
we're going to stay on the air. We're not leaving. Tell Caputo we're on for another hour.
All right. Marty Hill, want to thank you, of course. Marty can be reached at Marty. Where would he find you at?
www.martyhillhomes.com.
MartyHillHomes.com.
MartyHillHomes.com.
Marty, thanks for joining us.
Anna,
my pleasure.
Thanks for coming
Thank
in.
you, Anna.
All right, for Becky Alley, Harry Glantz, I'm Harvey Freed. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. Pat Caputo, he's coming up next.